The Supreme Court has delivered a historic decision, striking down the Trump-era tariffs and redefining presidential power over trade. The justices ruled that the executive branch overstepped by using a decades-old national security law to impose sweeping tariffs, declaring such actions a violation of Congress's constitutional authority. This landmark case, U.S. steel imports versus United States, sends a clear message. Congress, not the president, controls trade policy. The court found the tariffs far exceeded any reasonable national security justification, calling them a usurpation of legislative power. The decision ends the era of using national security as a blanket excuse for broad economic protectionism. Section 232 of the Trade Expansion Act, once obscure, had become a tool for bypassing Congress. Now, its use is sharply limited. For Americans, this means relief from higher prices on everyday goods and a reset for businesses caught in the crossfire of global trade wars. The ruling's impact is immediate, promising lower costs for consumers and a return to legislative debate over trade. The Supreme Court has not just interpreted a law, it has reshaped the economic lives of millions, unwinding one of the most disruptive trade policies in recent history. The balance of power has been restored, setting a new precedent for how America engages with the world economy. To grasp the significance of today's ruling, we must revisit the fallout from these tariffs. Intended to protect American industries, the tariffs instead triggered a cascade of unintended consequences. While some steel producers saw short-term gains, manufacturers relying on imported metals faced soaring costs, forcing tough choices: absorb losses or raise prices. Farmers became collateral damage as China retaliated, slashing exports and leaving rural communities in crisis. Government bailouts offered only temporary relief. Ultimately, American consumers bore the brunt. Prices rose on cars, appliances, and even canned goods. Studies confirmed the tariffs acted as a regressive tax, hitting lower and middle-income families hardest. The promise of a manufacturing revival came at a steep cost, paid by millions at the checkout. Today's decision marks a turning point, ending a policy that hurt more than it helped. At the heart of this saga is a constitutional question: who controls trade? The framers gave Congress, not the president, the power to regulate commerce with foreign nations, ensuring accountability and debate. Over time, Congress delegated some authority to the executive, notably through Section 232, meant for true emergencies. The Trump administration stretched this power, using it to impose broad tariffs under the guise of national security. Critics saw this as economic protectionism, not genuine defense. The Supreme Court's ruling is a course correction, sharply limiting the president's ability to use emergency powers for sweeping trade actions. Now, any claim of national security must be specific and credible, not a blanket excuse. The power to regulate commerce remains with Congress, restoring the constitutional balance. The era of executive overreach in trade policy is over. The Supreme Court's decision redraws the economic map for American businesses and workers. Industries using steel and aluminum, automakers, construction, manufacturers, will see costs drop as tariffs disappear. This relief should ripple through the supply chain, leading to lower prices and renewed investment. Consumers stand to benefit as the hidden tax of tariffs is lifted, easing inflation on everyday goods. The end of retaliatory tariffs also opens doors for American exports, especially in agriculture. However, domestic steel and aluminum producers now face renewed global competition, risking job losses in some communities. For farmers, the ruling offers hope foreign markets may reopen, restoring vital income streams. The decision promises to mend trade relationships and rebuild trust abroad. Not everyone wins, but the overall effect is a more competitive, open economy. The stage is set for growth driven by innovation, not protectionism. America's economic future just got a little brighter. The impact of this ruling reaches far beyond U.S. borders. For allies like Canada, Mexico, and the EU, the end of tariffs is a relief, paving the way to repair strained relationships. These nations saw the tariffs as a betrayal. Now, cooperation can replace confrontation. China, the main target of the trade war, will see this as both a sign of American checks and balances and an opportunity for renewed dialogue. The decision restores faith in the rules-based international trading system, reinforcing America's credibility. Organizations like the WTO, sidelined by unilateral actions, may regain influence. By ending self-inflicted wounds, U.S. businesses can compete more effectively abroad. The focus shifts to innovation and efficiency, not artificial protection. America's global leadership is strengthened by a return to predictable, lawful trade policy. The world is watching, and the message is clear. America is back at the table, ready to lead. A more open, engaged America is a more prosperous one. Beyond economics, this Supreme Court ruling is a triumph for American democracy. It reaffirms the separation of powers, checking the steady expansion of presidential authority. The court reminds us, no one, not even the president, can reshape the economy without Congress. Trade policy is about more than dollars. It's about constitutional order. The legislative process, though slow, ensures all voices are heard and major shifts have broad support. The court's decision restores Congress's essential role and demands lawmakers take responsibility for trade laws. This will lead to more stable, predictable policies and renewed trust in our institutions. The rule of law stands above political expediency, anchoring power where it belongs, with the people's representatives. This is a victory for the system of checks and balances, and for every American. As the dust settles, America stands at a crossroads. This ruling is a chance to move beyond divisive trade wars and build a stronger, fairer economy. The path forward demands collaboration. Congress, the White House, business, and labor working together. The future lies in investing in workers, fostering innovation, and pursuing smart trade agreements that protect American interests. The court's decision encourages a more nuanced, effective approach to global competition. Businesses now have the certainty to invest and grow, while workers gain access to sustainable, competitive jobs. The framework for progress is clearer. Collaboration, rule of law, and long-term strength. The power to shape our economic destiny is back with the American people and their representatives. The work of building that future begins now. America's next chapter in trade and prosperity is just beginning.